Hi, happy Valentine's Day. So, I wanted to do a quick 5 tips to help your communication in your relationship for this Valentine's Day. And I want to do a disclaimer that I do not have a perfect relationship. That's my son, a little like 1.5-year-old. I don't have a perfect relationship, but what I can say is that we're pretty darn good at communicating. So, I do have a background. I have a counseling minor from who have some knowledge on this topic from schooling. I have a counseling minor from a state university, so I did take some courses that included this kind of information. However, we're humans, and it's much easier to learn about something than it is to actually practice something. So I wanted to share 5 tips that my husband and I have used over the years to help us communicate better. We have been together for 13 years in total with no splits. I don't think that matters, but just so you know. And we've been married for almost 7.5 years. So the communication tip number 1 I want to share with you is this quote that I love to use in life in general, and it's not about you. Whenever someone is responding in a certain way, it's not about you. We have stuff going on every day, all day, inside our bodies, in our homes, with other relationships, with what it took to just drive somewhere. We don't know what's going on, but all those things affect how we respond to somebody. So it's not about you. When someone responds a certain way, it means there's something going on with them. And it's always, let's be honest, really it always comes down to us and what's going on with us inside our own heads and our own bodies and how we respond to somebody else. So when I say that sentence, it's not about you, it means to just remove the emotional factor. The factor that's going to cause you to maybe act or react irrationally, or just to have stronger emotions about this conversation or topic that you're assuming you're having this discussion or disagreement with your partner on, just to kind of try to remove that high emotional response that is not going to lend to any helpful outcome, if that makes sense. So that's my tip number 1. Tip number 2, say what you mean. When we eliminated passive-aggressive responses from our relationship and also eliminated the idea that there might be a passive-aggressive response, that cleared up so many issues for us. Both of us had grown up in households where there was passive-aggressive behavior, which is pretty normal actually. But what it did was it set us up for a lot of miscommunication, because I would find out later that my husband thought something totally different than what I was saying, and I was like, no, that's not what I was saying. He would just read into it because he didn't know if I was being passive aggressive or not. And it made it really, really difficult to have any kind of disagreement. So we just both walked away feeling yucky inside, thinking did they really mean that? Or were they saying that because they meant this? It was just so confusing. And that was a big issue for us. We had a lot of miscommunications because we just didn't know for sure if the other person was saying what they meant or not, or if they meant something else hidden in what they were saying. So that is crazy and hard to figure out. So as soon as I kind of noticed that was a pattern for us, I brought it up and I was like, listen, I'm not saying anything that I don't mean. I'm going to say exactly what I mean, and I'm not ever going to not do that. And that's going to save us so many issues. And it has. It's been years and years since I've done that. And wow, it's made a huge difference. And every once in a while, I do have to remind him and be like, no, I'm saying what I mean. Like, I'm not being passive aggressive. Every once in a while, there's a situation where it's like, I could tell it felt passive aggressive, and I'm like, no, that actually wasn't passive aggressive. I promise, like, that is what I meant. And he's like, oh, okay, because he'll say, oh, okay, because I wasn't sure. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what I meant. I'm still saying exactly what I mean. I promise. So that was super helpful. I highly recommend that. I think that is probably like the number one thing you should do in a relationship, is just eliminate passive aggressive behavior. Okay, tip number 3 is to repeat what you hear. So in my courses, we learned that repeating what you're hearing really helps clarify things, because everyone's interpretation can be different. So even if it seems super simple, super clear to understand, just repeating back what you're hearing. I hear you're saying this, or you don't even have to say I hear. You just be like, so you mean that you want me to do this and this and this at this time, or you mean that you don't like it when this happens? Is that what you're saying? And if you have already eliminated the passive aggressiveness, then there shouldn't be any confusion about the way you're asking, or the way you're clarifying. And that's actually goes right into tip number 4, is to ask questions. So repeat what you think you hear them saying, and then follow it up with questions. Ask more detailed questions so that you can really understand what they're trying to say. And with the repeat what you hear, I think it's important to understand that when you're in a conversation with somebody, or in a disagreement, and you really actually want to solve it, then you should be very interested in what they have to say, and in truly understanding what they're saying and what their view is. And it should be important to you. It shouldn't just be a moment for you to take over and say what you're feeling. There's a time for that as well. Everybody gets a time to say what they want to say. That's of course, but like, to just not want to hear what the other person says, that doesn't really mean that you want to come to an agreement or solve the issue at hand. Okay, so we've already done 4. So number 5 is to then express your concerns. So this is where you have a chance to be like, I've heard what you said, I've asked questions, I've clarified, I really understand your perspective as much as I can, or think I can, and now you have a chance to express your concerns, where you can do basically the same format, but express your concerns. I have concerns about this. This is what I'm worried about. This is why I reacted this way. This is why I chose to do that. And I didn't see it from your perspective, or that's a really interesting perspective, but this is my concern. And so what can we do about this? This is your concern. This is my concern. This is your perspective. This is my perspective. Or maybe at that point you kind of adopted their perspective after hearing the explanation. That happens to me with my husband all the time. He has really good ideas and really good thought processes, but I don't understand them sometimes until he explains them to me and even walks me through them, which, that's just how it is. Everyone's different. We're not the same people. We don't know what other people are saying. We're not mind readers, and we have to explain things to people. So that's just part of life. So be patient too, I guess. But I'm just going to go through those top 5 tips. So it's not about you. Say what you mean, repeat what you hear, ask questions, and express your concerns. I hope that really helps you. I don't know. I feel like that has really helped us, and we rarely have big arguments or, fights or anything. We pretty much just have discussions, and they're fairly simple because there's no question about what's happening. So I hope that helps you guys. Excuse me. Have a nice Valentine's Day. Be safe. Bye till next time.